Although video footage can be a beneficial tool for investigators trying to solve crimes, it doesn't always provide answers. Instead, sometimes it leaves authorities and amateur sleuths with more questions than answers. Join us for today's episode as we examine several cases involving video footage of missing people right before they vanish. Here at Cold Case Detective, in our downtime between working on these videos, we've been having a blast playing Raid Shadow Legends. And it's not just us. With 4 million users and 250 million downloads alongside super high store reviews, you can trust that this game is high quality fun. With 16 factions to choose from and over 30 bosses to fight, there is enough to keep you hooked for hours. Not to mention the constant monthly updates to keep you coming back for more. The game is also cross-platform between your mobile, PC and Mac, so it's easy to play with friends and family with your own in-game clan. Starting in Raid Shadow Legends has also never been easier or more rewarding. To help players get stuck into the depth and strategy of the game, they are giving away 2 epic heroes and 1 legendary for free. These heroes are amazing. Vergis, Rector Drath, and my favourite, Sun Wukong, make the first battles a game changer. I wish they were around when we started playing. I enjoy playing Sun Wukong with his self-revive mechanic, and I'm sure you'll love using his ability to polymorph foes into sheep. And you too can play as Sun Wukong by using the promo code Monkey King to unlock him for free. As well as these awesome heroes, if you use our link to sign up, you'll get 200,000 silver, energy refill, 1-day XP booster, and 1 skill tome epic. The cost of all of that is usually $60, but you'll get it all for free. Our whole team love fantasy gaming, but we've absolutely loved being able to play this on the go on our phones wherever we are. It's an easy way to relax after working on videos each week, and we'd love for you to check the game out too. And with this new welcome offer, there hasn't been a better time. Check out Raid Shadow Legends using the link in the description below, and let us know what you think. And now for today's episode. This is Cold Case Detective. Michael Van Zandt. 36-year-old Michael Van Zandt was last seen at the American Junkie Gastro Pub on Piper Plaza in Hermosa Beach, California, on March 5, 2016. A father of 3 and Air Force veteran, Michael had been living in Lancaster at the time of his disappearance, but had gone out on the night of March 5th to meet up with his friends to watch a UFC fight. He'd rented a room at the Quality Inn in the 900 block of Aviation Boulevard. CCTV footage placed him in a queue at American Junkie with his friends at around 10:15 p.m. He then left the queue to look for a bathroom and entered the establishment next door, a liquor store. He walked back out shortly afterwards, but by this time his friends had left the queue and headed to another bar. Further footage revealed that Michael spent the next few hours looking for his friends, but ultimately wound up back at the liquor store where he purchased an unknown item, which his brother Tyler stated later was a bottle of whiskey. Tyler added that his brother's friends attempted to get in touch with him all through the night. Quote, his friends tried to contact him to share they had moved locations, but his phone was dead, and phone records confirmed that it was not used throughout the evening. Friends had tried to contact him around 20 times during the night, and at one point, CCTV revealed that he was just 10 yards away from them, but they never seemed to find one another. Michael was last seen at 11:27 p.m. on CCTV when he walked northeast through the Mermaid car park. Early the next morning, his friends noticed that he hadn't returned to the hotel and his car hadn't moved, so they began calling local jails and hospitals, thinking he was probably drunk somewhere. They filed a missing persons report the next day when he failed to show up for work at the Edwards Air Force Base, but little came of their efforts to find Michael. Investigators have noted that the rain and a lack of witnesses hampered the case. There was no evidence to say the father of three met with foul play, or that he took his own life, although officers stated that accidental drowning was a possibility, especially as some reports note that he has been known to swim at night, even after drinking. Michael's ex-wife, whom he was in the process of divorcing at the time, told the Daily Breeze in 2021 that though she hadn't been able to reach her estranged husband by phone that Monday morning, she had not been immediately alarmed until she discovered he hadn't shown up to work. She stated, "The details started to come in that nobody had seen or heard from him since that Saturday prior, so I instantly knew that something was wrong, because that's not like him." Michael's son, Keaton, was 14 when his father vanished. He recalled being confused when he was told that his father was missing, and that it was a really strange day. Still, he says now he harbours a small sense of hope, stating, "In a way, it always feels like there's some sort of hope, some sort of chance that he's still out there, like he could come back, even if it's not true. In a way, it feels like he still exists, he's still somewhere, so it doesn't feel like completely terrible, even if he won't come back. And over time, I've gotten used to it." The family continue to pass out flyers about Michael's disappearance, but no evidence has ever been found in his case. Although they would like to see him come home, they are in the process of declaring him legally dead so that his assets and finances can be sorted out with his children. Michael Van Zandt went missing from Hermosa Beach, California on March 5, 2016. He is described as a white male with blonde hair and blue eyes, standing at 6 foot. At the time of his disappearance, he weighed 190 pounds and was wearing a grey, long-sleeve sweatshirt and blue jeans. Michael has various tattoos, including a tiger on his upper left arm, a Buddha on his back, and the name Keaton on his left calf. If you have any information about his disappearance, you can call the Hermosa Beach PD at 310-318-0360. Prisma Reyes. 26-year-old Prisma Reyes was discovered missing on April 17, 2019 from Mesquite, Texas, when she failed to pick up her 6-year-old son from the babysitters at 7:30 p.m. that night. 2 hours later, after failing to reach Prisma, the concerned babysitter called the police. By all accounts, the 26-year-old was a punctual woman, and it wasn't in the norm for her to be hours late to pick up her child. Earlier that day, Prisma had started a new job at a user car lot in Dallas. Things hadn't gotten off to a great start when she'd been forced to play referee between bickering customers, two women who had both attempted to take the same space in the car park. Later that day, Prisma visited the E-Bar Tex-Mex restaurant where she met up with an ex-boyfriend. This old flame had allegedly been abusive during their prior relationship, and their peaceful meal didn't last long. The ex-boyfriend picked a fight with Prisma after she made a long phone call outside. According to some reports, the ex left and Prisma remained behind, but other news outlets have claimed that they both left and Prisma returned sometime afterwards, where she sat at the bar and purchased drinks for about 3 hours. Sergeant Dustin Barrett of the Mesquite PD noted that Prisma had been talking with different patrons of the bar, but a disturbance had occurred and she was cut off and asked to leave. Surveillance footage next showed the 26-year-old in her white Jeep bumping the curb while turning. At 5:05 p.m., 3 women then called emergency services after the driver of a white Jeep Cherokee pulled out a black handgun, cycled to the side, and pointed it at their car. A former private eye, who has spent hundreds of hours looking into the disappearance, stated that Prisma's sudden road rage incident was very unlike her and didn't make sense, given Reyes' history of serving in the National Guard. The PA, Kaylee Palmer, also noticed that Prisma had some sort of phone call around the time she'd made a U-turn to head back towards Dallas, indicating that something in the call had caused her to turn back. However, further details on this situation are unclear. Shortly afterwards, Prisma was seen on CCTV illegally parking across the entrance to an alleyway at her ex-boyfriend's apartment complex. The car was not located until the following day. Further surveillance footage showed Prisma running to the elevator, seemingly unsteady on her feet. Sergeant Barrett added, "She seems a little bit intoxicated. She's stumbling around. She has the look of somebody that has had a few drinks and doesn't have all of her mental faculties about her." The last video footage of the 26-year-old was in that same apartment complex when she got out of the elevator at a different story. According to Barrett, "It's really grainy and real fuzzy, but the clothing and everything seems to match what she's wearing." A witness reported seeing Prisma at around 6:01 p.m. on the top level of the building where residents parked their cars. She was seen crying while sitting on the ground next to a car with its trunk open. When asked if she was okay, Prisma reportedly snapped at the witness and said she was fine and wanted to be left alone. Around this time, her mobile phone ran out of battery. No surveillance footage showed Prisma leaving the building again. Investigators quickly turned their attention to the ex-boyfriend, whom Prisma had once charged with domestic violence but later dropped the case. But he had an alibi. CCTV footage showed him not just leaving the building before Prisma's arrival, but also at several different locations during the time that she was there. Prisma's gun was left inside the Jeep, a vehicle that was reportedly not hers, but belonged to someone she was quasi-involved with, according to investigators. They have no evidence to suggest this person was involved in the disappearance. Prisma's stepfather doesn't believe that she was drunk, noting her demeanor and everything else. She wasn't intoxicated. It was more like she was drugged. He has also suggested that someone from one of her 3 jobs was responsible for her disappearance. Prisma not only worked at the used car lot, but also as a paralegal and as a dancer at local clubs. Her stepfather claimed, quote, "Prior to that day, one of the managers at one of the clubs that she worked at had told me she had called him one day because she felt like she was being followed." Investigators also looked at Arturo Garza Jr., the father of Prisma's young son, but he too had an alibi as he was not in the state at the time of the disappearance. Garza thinks it's possible Prisma walked off to start a new life, but her family disagree, as she was devoted to her son. Prisma's case is still unsolved. She was last seen in the parking garage of the Olympus at Ross apartment complex in Dallas, Texas, at around 6 p.m. on April 17, 2019. Prisma is described as a Hispanic female with brown hair and brown eyes, standing at 5'2". At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing a red polo shirt and blue jeans and weighed around 135 pounds. If you have information about her case, you can contact the Mesquite Police Department at 972-285-6336. Kajera Fraze. 22-year-old Kajera Fraze is described by those who knew her best as a loving, kind, genuine person who was everybody's best friend. At the time of her disappearance in February 2023, she was living with her parents in Moreno Valley, California, and was 8 months pregnant. By all accounts, she was excited and happy about the pregnancy and was due on March 29th, expecting a baby boy, though it's unclear who the father of the child was. Kajera reportedly planned to raise the baby at her parents' home with their support. But what became of Kajera and her unborn child is still a mystery over 1 year later. On February 23, 2023, the 22-year-old spent the morning with her mother, Kara. They spent time at the spa in their local gym and then ran errands afterwards, a mix of appointments and shopping as Kajera geared up for her final month of pregnancy. After they were done, Kajera requested to visit her grandmother's house, so Kara called her husband because she wasn't feeling well and was unable to drive them. Things took a turn though on the way to see Kajera's grandmother. She grew hungry and requested that they stop somewhere to eat. They pulled over at a Jack in the Box restaurant on 89 Beaumont Avenue in Beaumont, California, with her mother noting she got out of the car, she wasn't saying much. It's unclear why exactly the 22-year-old exited the vehicle, considering they were going to use the drive-thru. Some sources state that she left to get some fresh air, while others claim she'd become upset for unspecified reasons. Reportedly, Kajera stood in front of the drive-thru while her parents went to order. Kara stated, "My husband pulled forward. He looked at her. She was still standing there. He backed the car up, paid for food, pulled back forward, and she was gone." So the last time we've seen her was when she was standing at the end of the drive-thru. She literally disappeared in minutes. Confused by Kajara's behavior, her father exited the vehicle and started to look around, but there was no sign of her. Returning to the car, Kajara's parents began driving around the area, searching for any trace of her, but there was nothing. It was like she'd vanished into thin air. Now alarmed for the 22-year-old's safety, Kajara's parents called the police and reported her missing. She was last seen at 10:39 p.m. on the night of February 23rd. She had taken her Bible, but had left behind her handbag and possibly her phone. There is some mystery surrounding the whereabouts of Kajara's mobile phone, as her parents told police that it had been misplaced and they weren't sure of where it was when she went missing. However, Sarah Werner, an advocate for the 22-year-old's case, stated that one of the photos used on Kajara's missing posters, which feature the young woman in a black shawl with her hair pulled back, was reportedly taken on the night of her disappearance. It's unclear how anyone got a hold of it without the phone itself, but it could have been uploaded to an online storage account, social media, or even sent to a friend. Officer Mercedes Kashmer of the Beaumont PD told the media that several ground searches were carried out to locate Kajara. He stated that they were done along Highway 79, and they involved officers on foot, drones, scent dogs, and helicopters. Authorities subsequently began circulating Kajara's photograph and details to clinics, hospitals, and shelters throughout several California counties and Nevada. According to investigators, surveillance footage from the night in question revealed that Kajara walked south, away from the area of the Jack in the Box and behind businesses in the same center as the food establishment. She was alone at the time. Her mother, Kara, told Dateline that she believes Kajara was suffering a medical emergency, which prompted her to walk away, and added that she believes that her daughter was in a vulnerable state that allowed someone to take her off the street. Authorities have said that they have no reason to suspect foul play at this time, and there is no evidence to suggest that Kajara was taken. There has been little movement in Kajara's case since, but amateur sleuths have turned their attention to her family in the last year, after her brother commented online, "I know what happened. I damn sure won't explain that to you." This sentence, which was part of a larger comment, had reportedly been directed at Sarah Werner, the advocate for the case we mentioned earlier. Kajara is still missing. She was last seen at the Jack in the Box restaurant at 89 Beaumont Avenue in Beaumont, California at 10:39 p.m. on February 23rd, 2023. Kajara is described as a black woman with brown hair and brown eyes, standing at 5'7". At the time of her disappearance, she was 8 months pregnant and weighed around 154 pounds. She was wearing a black shawl, a black hoodie, grey sweatpants, and black slip-on shoes. Anyone with information about Kajara's case can contact the Beaumont Police Department at 951-769-8500. And there you have the facts. Please leave a comment down below with your own theories and speculations, and remember to like this video and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching. Stay alert, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.